The most common reason that hoopers over 30 give up the game has to do with knee pain. Specifically here, right on the front of the knee, what's called jumper's knee or patellar tendinopathy. Due to the nature of basketball being lots of accelerations, decelerations, quickly changing directions, I see a ton of guys complaining about pain there on the front of the knee. And the reality is it actually has nothing to do with their age. It's not the fact that they're 35, it's not the fact that they're 40 or 45 or whatever. It has to do with the fact that they're not really doing much outside of basketball. Obviously, as we get older, we have more and more time constraints that limit our ability to work out as hard as we can, to really put in the time here in the gym outside of the basketball court. But if we want to stay on the court for as long as possible, we do need to spend some time here in the gym getting strong. With the time constraints that we do have, it's super important that we spend the time doing the things that are going to make the biggest difference, being as efficient as possible in here so that you actually get out a lot for the amount of time you put in here. So if you're struggling with knee pain here or here that seems to be bothering you every time you play, makes it hard to walk downstairs the next day or two, it doesn't mean it's time for you to give up the game. It means it's time for you to do something about it so that you can keep playing. If you want a step-by-step guide on how to do that, I've put together 30 ways in 30 days for you to keep hooping for life. If you check out the link in the description below, I'll send you a daily tip right to your inbox every day to keep you on the court for life. Now, when it comes to actually treating this pain here on the front of your knee, there's several phases that you need to go through. Starting off, isometrics like a wall sit is a good option. I would do that daily, once or twice a day, 3 to 5 sets, 45 seconds to start off with. After about 2 weeks of doing that, when you feel like you're not having as much pain, I would move on to some tempo work, focusing on spending lots of time under tension so that tendon right here can actually remodel and start to get stronger. An example could be anything from a squat, a lunge, a step up. It doesn't necessarily matter the exercise. What matters is how you do that. So what we want to do is choose a resistance that is a less than 3 out of 10 pain as you're doing the exercise. You can do for 5 to 10 reps, making every single rep take more than 6 seconds. Our goal is to go slow enough that it's about 6 seconds to 10 seconds with enough resistance that you can reach a good muscle burn, a good fatigue by that 10 reps at most. So if we do it correctly, we have pain 3 out of 10 or less. We have 5 to 10 reps, reaching fatigue at that 10 rep mark with a pretty severe muscle burn here in the quad as you're doing that exercise. Now that rule of 3 out of 10 pain or less during the exercise is rule number 1. After that, if it does aggravate your knee a little bit, that's okay. No need to worry. A little bit of pain is actually good to overcome this. But within 2 hours of you finishing your exercise, if you're not back to your baseline, you just overloaded a little bit. You just chose a weight that was probably a little too much to start off with. So don't panic, don't skip. Just the next time you do it, 2 days later, right? Choose a lighter weight next time. Or same weight, maybe you do a little less reps. That's why we give you a rep range there. So 5 to 10, that gives you a little bit of wiggle room if you don't have as much weight that you can switch in and out there. Ideally in this phase, you're kind of weaning off of those isometric wall sits there, using them as needed for pain relief, but should not necessarily be reliant on them. Hopefully at this point can be a good warm up before you go play basketball or before you start doing some other lifting, but you don't want to be relying on them all the time. If that is true, we need to add in one other quad exercise. So you could either double that up with another tempo exercise. So maybe you have a squat and a lunge, or a step up and a squat variation, or the leg extension machine and some squats. The exercise selection is not nearly as important as one that you can control those parameters in and do consistently. 3 out of 10 pain or less. Going to fatigue in 5 to 10 reps. Making sure you're hitting a good burn by then. Back to your baseline 2 hours later. And lastly, the last rule that you need to follow is that 24 hours later, you're not worse off. So this can be easily replicated by doing a daily test to see how you're feeling. So it could be something as simple as 5 squats to a bench, like that. Give yourself a rating, a pain number there. Let's say it's a 1 today. You do your exercises. Tomorrow, it should not be more than a 1. We're always looking to be the same or better on our daily tests. If we can stick to those 3 rules for long enough time and be patient and consistent, your tendon pain will go away. If not, you're not patient enough or you're not loading it hard enough. Emphasis on the patient part, because this can take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. It depends on how long that pain has been bothering you, how hard you're pushing yourself, how diligent you are. Lots of factors go into that. Again, if you want to know more details about that, check out the link below for a further deep dive into that. As you're getting further away from pain and your knee's not starting to bother you quite as much anymore, we want to fully stop those isometrics, the wall sits there. We got one or two tempo exercises. Now we need to introduce some power-based exercises. So think something like a squat jump, right? Something where, or maybe a trap bar high pull where you're pulling lots of weight really quick. You're not really doing anything on the way down. It's all about the exploding up. Looking to do that 3 days a week, 3 sets, 3 to 6 reps, stopping in that spot there when you start to lose your speed. These are all about pushing yourself as hard as possible when it comes to velocity. After several weeks of doing that, that's when it's a good time to start adding in some plyometrics again. Think like a box jump, a broad jump, a squat jump, something like that. And as long as you follow that process and follow those 3 pain rules, your knee will feel better without having to get a PRP injection or take ibuprofen every time you go play.